Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Miami Collins Show. I'm your host, Jaden Gonzalez. Happy bye week Friday. It's another great week. Got no complaints here after another win last Saturday. We have another bye week coming up. Able to chill, relax, enjoy some good football. As always, let's go Canes, the number 2 team in the country, 5-0 Miami Hurricanes, who are looking ever so much better in this country, who looks like the best team in the nation each and every single week, who has proven it every single week with the best resume in college football right now. Every week in, week out, have proven it this whole season long that they are the best team in college football, and they're proving it every single week. National television, they've done it now 3 times in national television. They're just consistently getting better each and every single week. And game against the FSU wasn't even their best game. I mentioned it on Monday's show over and over again. They played 3 incredible quarters of football and 1 incredibly embarrassing quarter of football where they were ultra conservative, but they won the game. They're the state champs. They're 5-0 entering a bye week with 3 top 25 wins. There's nothing better than being a Miami Hurricane fan right now. This is the best team we've seen in a very long time. Enjoy it. You are 3-0 against your rivals. The vibes could not be higher right now in Coral Gables. There's a buzz on campus because everyone is watching this team and they're excited and they're all looking forward to each and every single week. And for the great reason, like they're playing incredible football. They're getting national media attention. One Ohio State slip up and Miami is the number 1 team in the country for the first time in over 20 years. So we're just, it really enjoy this kind of this ride of a season. This is just, it's so much fun. We're 5-0. It just enjoy it, especially because after this bye week, Miami plays 7 straight games, and you just have to kind of be like, 7 straight games is a lot. They might stumble, they might mess up, despite the lack of talent and the opponents that they will be playing over the rest of the season compared to the beginning of the season. They're still quality opponents. They still have to win the games they have to play. One of the concerns about Miami over the last few years in the Mario era is, can you play well in the November to December games, and how well can you handle everything that goes on within this environment and everything that goes on with it. November and December are the really big months. Mario Cristobal's record as a Hurricane is, I think it's 4 and I don't know the specific record. It was on my mind. I forgot it. He has a losing record in November and December. That has to change. It probably will change when you look at the schedule, which I'll talk about before we, I'll have you guys come in and talk. But like the first thing I think of right away, I look at that schedule and I see the rest of the ACC opponents, and it's Louisville, Stanford, SMU, Syracuse, NC State, Vodtech, Pitt. 3 of those games on the road, 4 of them at home, 2 of them back-to-back games on the road. I look at that schedule, and I think they should be favored in every game. On paper, they should win every game convincingly, in theory. Louisville and SMU are the 2 best teams of the bunch. I know SMU has lost to TCU and Baylor. They don't look at nearly as good as they did last year, but they're still a solid team. An away game in Dallas, not going to be an easy game. First game for Miami outside the state of Florida, right? Louisville is always going to play you tough. They played us tough last year. I know they had a loss last week to UVA. Stanford, unfortunately, I'm not worried about them. Syracuse is 0-2 since they lost Stephen Jelly. NC State has a couple pretty bad losses, like losing to Virginia Tech's not a good thing. And then Virginia Tech, who just they fired their head coach, they're not in a good spot. To me, the toughest game rest of the season is the last game of the season against Pitt. And you hope by that point that after Virginia Tech, Miami's 11-0, and they walk into Pitt already with a ACC championship game clinched. If that is the case, not something to worry about. I feel good about where Miami's at, obviously, as a whole, because they're playing so well. They're a very good team. But when you play 7 straight games to end the season, 2 of them on the road up north in Blacksburg and in Pittsburgh, they're not going to be easy games. Pittsburgh is especially a tough one because the most Pat Narduzzi thing to do in Pittsburgh is to knock off a big team and disrupt their season as a whole. And I can absolutely see that happening. For Miami, though, 1-0 every week, consistently playing that kind of brand of football that they've been showing over the last few weeks, with the star talent that they have, with the production that they have, with the guys that they have, they should be able to win every game, and they should be able to win these games convincingly and continuously showing that they are who they are. And it's not like they're getting disrespected by anyone. The media and everyone around us is calling us a legitimate team because they watch what we watched. They've watched a legitimate team. They've watched a team go out and beat Notre Dame, beat UF, beat FSU, beat a very quality USF team, right? Win the games we have to win. We've showed that. We've proven that we can win. We've proven that we're a competitive team, that we're an elite level team with talent everywhere, with minimal holes, with one of the best, with the best offensive and defensive line in the country, with an incredible defense, which is just complete shout out to Corey Heatherman and Chris Ball, of course, for the recruiting. But what he did to change this defense around night and day, like it's not even night and day. It's incredible. No, it's impossible to look at that defense last year and look at this one this year and say, like, it's just nuts. I'm looking at this defense and I'm watching and I see Ruben Bain and Akeem Mesidor just be the greatest defensive lineman in the country right now. Ahmed Moten goes down, has no effect on the game because you can slot in David Blaine, you can slot in all these guys, and nothing changes because of how good they are and how dominant they were against FSU. And Tommy Castellanos, who looked good over the beginning of the season, Miami stifles him completely and entirely, stops their run game, who was averaging 300 yards per game. They're flying around everywhere. They play with this defensive mindset that just works. The safety group, the secondary has been incredible, but Keontae Scott at the nickel, incredible season from him so far. Jacoby Thomas at safety is everywhere. Zachariah Poyser, Bryce Fitzgerald, the true freshman, who was probably the most influential player last week when he gets the interception off Tommy Castellanos. Very next play, Malachi Tony, touchdown. So incredible stuff from that defense. Obviously, we haven't seen a whole lot of with Frederic and Damari Brown, them being necessarily tested, but they're playing good ball. They're playing great, exceptional ball right now, that entire defense. And when you have the best defensive player in the country, Ruben Bain, things just get a lot easier. And then on the offensive side, we came after UF saying, I'm a little nervous for how they play when they throw the ball. Carson Beck looked amazing. He looked incredible. He looked like the Carson Beck that we saw week one and we saw back in 2023 with Georgia. Looked incredible. Malachi Tony's incredible. CJ Daniels is incredible. The whole team just looks so dialed in right now. They're bought in. They look just fantastic. And I think, again, as a Miami fan, you just be really, really, really happy with everything that goes on. When we entered the season, one of the first things I said, I believe on one of the Monday shows, I said, I would expect a 10-2 season probably, and I would expect those two losses to come from some sort of Notre Dame or a UF loss or an FSU, something like that. And for them to start the season 5-0, the toughest part of the schedule, going 5-0, just incredible. I absolutely agree. I've been saying it. I think that Pitt is – I'm not scared of Pitt, but I think Pitt scares me in the fact that they're the biggest trap game, the most obvious trap game that you can think of. It's the second game in the Northeast. It's their 7th straight game. It's the last game of the season. It's in Pittsburgh. Pat Narduzzi's a guy that does this. He's a guy that knocks off really solid teams. He plays good. Their team will step up and rise to the occasion, and Miami's going to have to play better. That's going to be a game that probably ends up in a dogfight. So you can't write off any game. You definitely cannot write off every game. But if you were to just say, oh, if you look on paper, we should win the ACC with ease. On paper, sure. But on paper, in the preseason, Penn State was supposed to dominate everyone. And they lose to Oregon, and then they lose to UCLA. So nothing is guaranteed in college football. Nothing at all. Something could happen, whatever. Just continuously focus week by week. But yeah, if we were to look at a game and say, if Miami were to still go 10-2, where do those two losses come in? The first thing I think of is Pitt right away as a game that they can definitely lose. But if Miami's 11-0 at that point, number 1, number 2 in the country, a loss to Pitt, and that shouldn't change things overall in the grand scheme of things, especially with a win in ACC championship. But we're getting ahead. That's like 7 weeks from now. But rest of the season, Miami set themselves up in a spot where they did all the hard stuff, and now the easy stuff is left, right? Notre Dame loses back-to-back games to begin the season against tough teams, but now the rest of their season, they have to be perfect if they want to make the playoffs. that's this kind of case that for Miami, it's like we couldn't have put ourselves in a better spot where we've proven it week in, week out, where we have the 5-0 record, where we've won every game relatively, in convincing fashion in certain ways, right? I think Miami's biggest concern that we have right now is, can you put away teams? I think that if we were to say one critique about Miami, their inability to put away teams has been an issue. Notre Dame, I thought they could have put them away. They go 3 or 4 straight 3-and-outs. UF 13-7 the whole game. They should have put them away. I know the Marty Brown touchdown, they got called back. Whatever. They probably should have put them away earlier. And then FSU, 28-3 lead. Game was put away, but then they let them come back and outscore them 19-0 with 14 total yards of offense or something like that. So concerns here and there are definitely something we see absolutely from this team, like very small things that can easily get cleaned up. But overall, I think that Miami can do everything they need to do to be successful. So with that being said, I want to hear what you guys got to say because, look, it's a bye week, but you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. I want to hear what you guys got to say about where your guys' mindset are at, where you guys are thinking within this team. I think that this is a perfect spot to be in. I mean, there's no better. If you came into August saying, hey, by October, you're the number 2 team in the country and you have 3 wins and you've already won, you have 3 wins against top 25 teams and you've won the state of Florida already. I can't take any knock on the team right now. Like they feel that good. That's how quality they are. That's how solid they are. And for Miami, that's just that level that they need to play with every single week. And as always, we will welcome on one of our recurring guests, Caden the Diesel Freak. How you doing, Caden?
Jaden Gonzalez, how you doing tonight? Good, sir.
I'm all right. How about you?
Hey, Miami's proven to me once again and to everybody in the ACC why they're the for real team of the ACC and why they aren't playing around and why they're winning the ACC championship.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I feel the same way. They're playing to that level right now where they have every reason to believe that they can win the ACC and make a push into the playoffs right now.
And I'll tell you this. I'll tell you what. If y'all if y'all win the ACC, which I guarantee this year, and go to the playoffs as an undefeated team this year in the ACC, the only undefeated team in the ACC to go, I said I am really ready for the dream game again to happen again, Ohio State Miami, because I know that game's going to sell a whole lot, but that game's going to have a lot of nostalgia back to it.
Yeah, I agree. A rematch of 2002 would be electric. I'm not going to deny that. I know everyone in Miami wants that kind of revenge from that missed call and everything that happened.
BS call. Yeah, I know what you mean. But you want to talk about Pitt, Virginia Tech? I mean, Pitt. I mean, they went through a dogfight with West Virginia, and then Virginia Tech. Obviously, that's a cesspool.
Yeah,
but
they're struggling over there. But I think Pitt is more or less. I'm not sure how good Pitt is, but more necessarily how scary they are as like a trap game.
So it's at Pitt. I mean, like it's going to be in Pittsburgh. I mean, sure, there's going to be a lot of Pitt fans, but at the same time, Miami Hurricane Nation is showing up, and and this Hurricane team. I mean, not being a way to put away opponents. I mean, maybe this is the game that Miami really puts down, Pitt and Virginia Tech on the road, because they probably wanted to start off slow with Notre Dame, with Florida State, with Florida, just work the bugs out for the last couple of weeks, and then this is where at the point of the season Miami's just going to start hitting it hard. It's not stopping, keeping the foot on the gas pedal all day, and I feel that it's going to happen against Pitt, Virginia Tech.
I agree. I have concerns when any team has to play 7 straight games coming off, bye week, FSU bye week, 7 straight games, end the season with 2 games up north when you've been at home majority of the season. That stuff kind of just thinks to me, right? Where it's like they do struggle entirely sometimes where against some of these games, and a game against Pittsburgh in Pitt is definitely a game I'm not happy about. I'm not excited for. But like we'll cross that bridge when we get there. And I think the focus right now for Miami's got to be just win every single week, play 1-0 football consistently, and just clean up some of the little things. They cannot blow some of these leads. They cannot kind of let these teams get back in some of these games.
No, and you make good points there, but I feel like this is the two games that Miami sets the tone. They come into Pitt, beat the dog, breaks off a Pitt, and then go to Blacksburg and beat the holy hell out of Virginia Tech. And I know there's somebody in the chat, Jackson Johnson, the resident Alabama fan. I told him just to be careful because if they are the playoffs, and if they are, they got two teams that are really violent on defense stepping up, Ohio State now and Miami. So, Jackson, just a fair warning to you, buddy. You got two fan bases that really don't like Alabama, and they ain't sure if Miami got the chance to play y'all, ooh, it would not be good for the Crimson Tide because that defense will be stomping y'all right now. Hey, I'm just being honest.
I respect it. I respect it. Well, I appreciate the call as always, Caden.
Hey, and as always, go Canes on the 305. And if you ever need anything, you know where to holler for the baddest Buckeye on walking this earth.
I appreciate it, Caden. Have a good one, man.
Go Bucks and go Canes, my man.
Always. Well, as always, thank you to Caden. We actually welcome on who Caden was talking about, Jackson Johnson. How you doing, Jackson?
What's up, Jaden? How you doing tonight, good buddy?
Doing great. How about you?
I'm doing all right. Just keeping an eye on the world of college football and wondering whether the Giants will get their first ever Thursday night football win since 2015.
Ooh, I'm a New York guy, Jets fan, but for the Giants, I don't know. Philly lost last week.
Depressing for the Giants.
I mean, the whole state of New York's depressing for football. So,
well, except for Buffalo Bills,
yeah,
that's only during the playoffs.
That's Canada over there. I'm talking about the New York City teams, the Jets and the Bills, or the Jets and the Giants. They're sad. The Eagles probably win. They probably win.
Oh, no doubt. And Al Michaels is going to be depressed once again, unless you see like a Miracle of Meadowlands like he did from 1978 where the Eagles went out of nowhere, or like Deshaun Jackson returns for a kickoff in 2010.
I don't think there's anything that gets Al Michaels excited anymore.
Well, just get him come back to calling college football games like he did in the late 70s to early to mid 80s. That's what I say.
I agree.
So, I mean, NBC, do us a favor. Get Al Michaels over to Peacock, and this time, make sure he has some exciting games to call. Don't make him call UCLA games.
Absolutely. But Jackson, you're an Alabama fan, I understand. So what do you see from an outsider as the Miami team as a whole?
Well, I'll be honest, like I've been like really impressed with what the Miami Hurricanes have brought, especially against Notre Dame and South Florida and Florida State. But something that keeps nagging at me, and this was a stat that I saw Saturday night. The November-December record for Mario Cristobal. Now, I know it's a little easy, but Syracuse and Fran Brown. I'm getting the names messed up. Dadgummit. Like Fran Brown, man. Is Syracuse that new Georgia Tech? I hope not for Miami's sake. I want to see a Miami Florida State AC title game rematch. That would be my Christmas wish. But I honestly am wondering if this year's really the year where Miami wins their first conference title for the ACC since they joined in 2004.
I agree. I think when you look at last season, obviously it was disappointing when you had 3 games left. Say, hey, can you win 2 of them? And it's Georgia Tech, Syracuse, Wake Forest. You win 1 of them. Depressing, sad. Georgia Tech was a solid team. They pushed Georgia to the brink last year, and then Syracuse with Kyle McCord and all of them. They were a fantastic team. Syracuse, I was nervous about them when they entered the season because they looked really strong. Them losing Steve Angeli for the rest of the year after the Clemson game has kind of because they got blown out by Duke, and then they lost again last week. So my low level for Syracuse, hopefully it's a lot lower, but I'm hoping you're right that it doesn't turn into Georgia Tech, what happened the last 2 seasons. That is a game that I've thought about. I've keep thinking about that there are these games that Miami One thing I will say about Cristobal is that there are times where I feel like he loses really small games or really easily winnable games by
Yes, when no one's watching. Like Cristobal, that's something I've noticed about him is he does fantastic when everyone's watching him.
Yep.
But when no one's watching his teams, that's where they blow it. I mean,
Yeah.
most notably against Stanford in 2021,
Yep.
Oregon, Stanford, and like you mentioned last year with Miami, Georgia Tech, and Miami, Syracuse. I mean, people are watching the Iron Bowl more than Miami, Syracuse. No offense.
Yeah. No, totally true. And then, but 2 years ago, the Georgia Tech game where they had it all wrapped up and they blew that. So that there's in the Cristobal era with him at Miami, we have definitely seen, and even at Oregon, we've seen him blow some of these winnable games. It's got to be the one thing I keep thinking about. I've always said it that Miami's biggest enemy for the rest of the season is clearly themselves. It's themselves. They have to get out of their own way, and they just have to continue to play football. They were playing the first 5 weeks. They looked incredible, and they were against some very talented teams. They have to kind of play that way for the rest of the season for me to really see them as like a legitimate team.
No doubt. I mean, like SMU is looking like a good one on November 1st, especially if they keep going on that winning streak.
Their first game out of the state of Florida too for Miami, so it's not like it's a little bit challenging. I think it's an 8 p.m. game in Dallas, so it's on like their homecoming night. So that's a good environment for Miami to go up against. It's gonna be another not an easy game for sure. You said as well. Pittsburgh scares me. It's a trap game. Everything about it's a trap game.
Virginia Tech doesn't scare anybody, of course.
No.
They're yeah.
But and then I'm not worried about Stanford. I'm not like Stanford. I look at. I'm not worried about. I think Louisville is gonna be a fun game. I don't know. They just lost to UVA, but they're a good team. They're one of the better teams in the ACC. That should be another decent test. I think they just have to continue to just play to that standard. I am nervous about the November, December. You make a great point. I think I don't know what the record is. I thought it was 4-10. That sounds crazy.
Yeah, it was 4-10. Like
4-10. That's crazy. That's a crazy stat. And I think for Miami to change that narrative of, like is the U back? Is the U back? If the U were to really be back, they have to play flawless football in November, December against.
Yeah, because I'm looking back at Miami for Mario Cristobal for November in his first year, 1-3. Only win, ironically enough, Georgia Tech. And for 2023,
that was a
1-3.
Yeah,
last Friday win against Boston College, celebrating the 39th anniversary of Hell Flutie that year. And here we go, 2024, 2-2.
Yeah,
not good.
It's a problem. Good. And so I would say the difference though, like last year's team would their offense was incredible, but the second they sputtered once, their defense was collapsing. And there were also times where you looked at that Miami team last year and you knew they were going to lose a game. It was more of a when rather than if, because they've had some miraculous games. They barely beat Virginia Tech last year on a Hail Mary call. They came back from like 28 against Cal in Cal. So they were in a shootout with Louisville last year. So those 3 games right away that they easily could have lost. And then they were kind of in that spot of like when's that shoe gonna drop, and then it did. This year, I haven't seen that yet. The only thing I've seen so far is FSU, where you're up 28-3, and then you let FSU put up 19 on you in the fourth quarter and make it an interesting game.
Yeah, I mean, you cannot be doing that on a regular basis. I mean, if you're Miami, if you're Cristobal, you don't need the flats over a win over Louisville. You don't need to be flatsing over and overtime. You need to do what Fran Brown did after Syracuse beat UConn, where you're having your guys run suicide laps. I mean, I know people are like, "Oh, that's cringy. That's cringy." It's like, I wouldn't say that. What Syracuse do? They beat Clemson up like a chicken nugget.
I think definitely holding them accountable is fair, and just making sure that they just stick to that mindset of not getting in their own way is probably the biggest thing that for that November and December. It's just they really cannot get out of their own way. And if Miami believes that they are who they say they are, who the media says they are, they got to prove that in November and December. And I think that's the biggest test for them, because the test for them at the beginning of the season was, can you match up with some of these elite level teams? And they proved that right away. They have the talent, they have the players. now as we go later in this year is, can you prove that in ways that it's been affecting your program for the last few years? Like that's a program specific issue.
Oh, agreed, no doubt. Like, I'm ready to see what Miami will bring for November and the rest of October.
Yeah.
Although there will be a lot more people watching Miami Louisville, so it's like Miami
Yeah.
will do all right on there. It's just the games that no one's caring about as much.
Yeah.
Like
It feels like they're games maybe that they either overlook or just something happens where you're like, how in the world did you lose that football game? And the Georgia Tech game haunts me. I think about that game like too much. The game scares the hell out of me. And then last year,
oh, imagine playing them in the ACC title game.
oh,
Kryptonite.
If there's any team that Miami fans are more afraid of than anyone, is Georgia Tech. We're afraid of Georgia Tech right at this point in time. Other than that, like we can handle anyone else. Georgia Tech, no.
But I will say though, I'm gonna head out, but not before I tell everybody about the magic that you and Shay are creating all right here on Miami Primetime Live. And don't forget to check out the college show Thursday nights as Jaden takes your calls discussing the Miami Hurricanes. Plus, check out the iconic Miami Hurricanes live show Wednesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern Time, with Mark Rogers and Cam Underwood of the State of the U, where they bring that Miami magic. You will see that Miami magic from Cam Underwood, Jaden, and Shay, all right here on Miami at the Voice of College Football. Let's get this channel over to 20,000 subs, ladies and gentlemen. And up next after that is the Michigan College Show, Oklahoma Sooners Live, the Alabama College Show, and most importantly, the main show, the late show, the Week 7 preview from Mark Rogers himself from the Voice of College Football.
Absolutely. Thank you, Jackson, for that.
You're welcome. Anytime, man. Anytime.
Right, thank you. I appreciate your call. Have a good one, man.
You too, man. Stay safe, stay warm. It's cold out.
Yeah, not over here.
Not yet. You're in Florida.
Yeah.
See you soon, good buddy.
Have a good one, man. See ya. Thank you, Jackson, for the call in. It's nice to hear a different opinion from someone that isn't from Miami, that isn't affiliated at all with Miami. Makes a good point. The number one concern I have with Miami, and as I think I kept saying it, their biggest issues themselves. They have to get out of their own way. They've proven that they can win games. They have everything they need to win the game. I mean, I keep mentioning the players that they have. They match out pretty. They can overmatch any team in the ACC, and for the rest of college football, they're among every other team right now. Right? They're playing to that level. They're playing to that quality. They've proven it in the biggest moments. Unfortunately, the question that I have to ask is, can you do it in the smallest moments? Can you do it against Syracuse, Fran Brown, Syracuse? Can you do it against SMU and SMU? Can you do it when you have to play back-to-back road games up north against Virginia Tech and Pitt? Can you do these games? Can you win the games that people may not be watching? Can you win the games that, just Hurricane fans are really paying attention to? And can you clean up the little things? That's the number one hope that I see from this bye week is Mario saying, can we clean up the procedural penalties? Can we clean up some of these little mistakes that we have? And can we clean up, can we keep our foot on the gas for all 4 quarters? Miami continues to do that. I think the procedural penalties is one of the bigger things. It's just really small, but Tony's touchdown was called back for an illegal shift or an illegal formation. That could have easily been a touchdown. That got called, and I got called back, right? Marty Brown's touchdown against UF gets called back for a stupid call. That's on the refs. But there's some procedural penalties that they gotta figure out. To clean up the little things. That's the whole point of having basically 2 off weeks in 3 weeks, right? Clean up the small things, do the things you need to do, get healthy, get ready, continue to use the depth that you have. Jordan Lyle played a handful of snaps against FSU. Didn't see any JoJo Trader, whether it's him getting healthy or whether it's honestly Malachi Tony and Joshua Moore and all these guys stepping up. That remains to be seen. But they have the talent, they have the depth, they have the positional value with everyone they have right now. And I think just really, really talented. They're just an incredible team. And we just have to just make sure that we do the right things. Don't waste this team. Last year's team, you wasted the number 1 overall pick. You wasted an incredible season of him having a Heisman season because your defense couldn't play 1% better. Because you had Lance Guidry, who was just playing. I don't know what kind of defense he was playing. He looks like, I don't know, Lance Guidry. He bothers me because of what the crimes that he committed as a member of the defensive coordinator last season. He ruined an incredible offense, one of the best offenses we've ever seen. And it's awesome, though, that this season the offense is only, I think it's been a slight dip offensively because it's hard to come back from an offense as powerful as that one. Slight dip on offense, an incredible, massive jump on defense to the point where you're a top 10 defensive unit with two of the best pass rushers, two of the best run stoppers in the country, and the best player in the country defensively in Ruben Bain. So for Miami, it's continuing to keep that up in all ways and considering that each and every single way. I want to hear what you guys got to say, though. If you guys disagree with me, if you guys think of something else, let me know. Again, this is a bye week. It's a lot more relaxed. It's a good week of football coming up. So please, please, please click on the StreamYard link. I want to know what you guys got to say. We're having fun. We're having fun over here. Again, 5-0 right now. I want to hear what you guys got to say. But yeah, we're this whole show, this whole channel, we're trying each and every single week because we know that this team is special and we want to continue to give you guys the opportunity to hear how special it is when we're at the press box, when we're in the game, given that kind of information. It's awesome. But I would say for Miami this week, rest up, recover, get ready for Louisville. Louisville's going to be a good team. I think we can't put any team past us and just continue to play to the level of football we got to play. It should be a test. It should be fun. After that, what is it? Let's see the schedule after that. After Louisville, Stanford, who I think they're not very good. SMU, who again on the road should be a fun game. Syracuse, they got to blow out Syracuse. They got to get their get back from last year. NC State, they're okay. Vatek and then Pitt, which I've mentioned at length about for those two games. So continue to keep going each and every single week. I'll keep the chat. I'll keep posting the chat for a couple more minutes, and then no one else responds. We'll get out of here. But I appreciate everyone who is still tuned in and wants to hear us talk, as always. So trying to think from any other takeaways I had from the FSU game. They just really dominated Castellanos in all facets. They limited him in all ways. I think it was 119 yards in the first 3 quarters, 2 picks, just really good football the entire way. They limited them to Castellanos had 57 yards the entire game. One of his strengths has been his ability to run the football. FSU had 188 total yards. They were averaging 600 in the first few weeks. Just incredible stuff from that defense. And then on offense, just how awesome that Beck continues to look after a poor game against UF. And no other words to describe how awesome it is to have the best true freshman in the country and how awesome that will look on the resume for more recruits as Miami continues to play to that level. Miami continues to play to that level. It's only going to better the recruits when Bryce Fitzgerald and Malachi Tony are putting on shows as true freshmen. What else can you say about that? Thank you, Falconer, for the $1.99 sticker. As always, appreciate you for being in the chat. Go Canes as always. But yeah, it's incredible. It's an incredible recruiting pitch to say, what can you provide for me as a true freshman? Say, do you see Malachi Tony? Do you see Bryce Fitzgerald? Do you see Joshua Moore? Do you see all these guys right now? They're being huge contributors to a team that is number 2 in the country right now. And we're dominant because of these guys. And if you show out, if you play to their level, you can easily start right away with Miami. And that has got to be a huge recruiting boost. And obviously the recruiting boost I have been mentioning forever, winning the state of Florida. You beat USF, UF, and FSU for the 2nd straight year. You're 6-0 against the state of Florida. I guess 8-0 if you want to include Bethune and FAMU. These consistent victories against your state will only better you as the premier team in the state, and will continue to do it as well. I'm pretty sure this is true, Falconer. Thank you for the 305. The FSU limited tickets to UM. I think that is partly true. I'm not totally sure. I had a lot of friends that did go up the tally for the game, and it was extremely, extremely expensive. Talking crazy amounts for it. And FSU fans are FSU fans. Whatever. We came in, put BTA in their BTA in their stadium, won for 3 quarters in dominant fashion. They just played great football, and I think that's who they are right now. And you just gotta. That's who Miami is. That they can win back-to-back games against FSU. That they can keep doing this over and over again. So I think that's how it is. So keep pushing it. Keep put pedal to the metal every single week. That again, you gotta play all 4 quarters, but gotta figure that one out. They put up 17 yards in the 4th quarter, average 1.1 yards per play. That's awful. That's the one thing I can keep saying. That's a huge damper on what was such an awesome game. So it's sad. That part is sad. I'll post the StreamYard link one more time. No one gets in, we'll call it. But thank you all for tuning in. From the FSU game as well, I mean, the Beck numbers were great. 20 of 27, 241 yards, 4 tutties, 197.9 QB rating. He's squarely up in the Heisman consideration. I think he's moved to the Heisman favorite. Let me pull up the odds right now. As we enter week 7, Beck is number 2 in odds. Dante Moore is the only one higher. Ruben Bain's pretty far out because the Heisman is a QB award for the most part. But it is still cool to think about the fact that Ruben Bain could even get any Heisman consideration for being the best defense player in the country. Pretty cool to have for Miami. We have, last year having Ward, this year Beck and Bain. Pretty cool things to have, overall. So for Miami, keep playing the brand of football they need to play. Keep winning the games they got to play. 1-0 every week. That's the mindset. That's the mindset. That's the mentality. That's the mindset we should have as fans. But also being really grateful for this team, being really proud of this team. We've gotten game day. We've gotten 3 ABC games. The media is here for us, and they're going to continue to be here for us because we're a brand. But we're going to continue to be there for as long as how good we are and how well we continue to play against whoever. So that's just it. That's just it. Thank you guys for tuning in. I really appreciate the calls that I got. And I will talk to you guys later. But thank you, Falconer, for 305. Being UF last year at home, being UF in UF last year, being UF at home this year, being FSU away this year and at home last year. It's incredible for this. It's incredible for the state. It's incredible for Miami against a really awesome state. It's a great state of football. UF is very talented as always. FSU is really talented as always. It's one of the best states in the nation to recruit, other than California and Texas, right? It's you're in our own backyard as well. South Florida football kills everything. There's nothing like South Florida football, and to continue to have that kind of bragging rights over your top opponent, it feels good. It feels good, and I think that's where we should just have our minds at. So yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. You can guys see me and Shay on Monday, Mark and Cam on Wednesdays, and me here on Thursdays. Hopefully I find someone else to help me around here. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll catch you guys next week. See ya.